Alright guys, so now that we've learned about writing to a file, now that we've learned how to append to a file, now it kind of makes sense for us to learn how to read to a file. And just like appending, just like writing, reading is very important to in terms of handling files. Okay, and so here let's just dive into how we do this. Okay, so we've already established that we have a document called examplefile.txt. In previous videos, you might have saw that, but here it is, and we've actually modified it a little bit to make it kind of like more of a real world example for you guys. All right, so we have a list of patients: Jeff, Johnny, Jake, Andrew, Joseph. Oh, I kind of edited it. Joseph, Daniel, Phil, Mary, Lucy, and then they're positive or negative for some arbitrary disease. All right. And so as a doctor, I want to take out these positive patients and say, hey, we need treatment for them. But how would I do that in Python? All right. So let's learn how to just read a file. Okay. So similar to writing and appending to a file, we're just going to declare a variable. Example file is equal to open, and we're going to open our file, example file.txt, and then we're going to read to the file. So we're going to say r. And then all we have to do is .read. We're going to skip over not read lines. .read. I'll show you about read lines in a minute. But .read. Okay, and all we have to do now, since we already notified the program that we're going to be reading, now all we got to do is say print example file, right? Because we want to read it, and it's going to run the program, and look at that, it reads everything. All right, and so this is neat, right? It gave us our whole document right here and just printed it out all into the logcat, right? So we know how to read it. But the problem with reading it, which I think reading the lines are a little bit more useful, because reading it takes the whole document as one element, all right? And we want different lines to be different elements of a list, right? But that's not what .read is doing. And let me kind of show you what I mean by this. So if I had a for loop, for example, right? Or let's say I wanted to print a certain index, right? So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Let's say I wanted to print out, Johnny, right? That's the first index. I'm going to say 1, and let me show you the problem with it. We're going to go ahead and run this, and it's going to show us the letter E right here. And that's kind of strange, right? Because Johnny Johnny is not an E, right? And so in reality, what I mean by saying it's taking the whole document as one element, the first index of this whole thing is going to be the letter E right here, right? It goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so it's going to take that whole thing. So if we want to take each line as a separate element, what we have to do instead is say read the lines of the program, and then we can take out Jeff or Johnny right here, right? So Johnny, we just took out Johnny, and Johnny is positive. And if we wanted to do a little bit something more useful with our program, rather than just take out arbitrary lines of our code, let's say I'm a doctor and I want to take out all the positive patients out because I want to treat them, right? I would do something a little like for patient in example file. If since we only want the positive patients, if positive is in string, or patient, my bad. So if the patient is positive, then we want to print out the patient. All right, and then if else, right? Else, if the patient is not positive, then we're just going to do nothing, right? In other words, continue. And let me show you what that will do, and print out all the positive ones in a separate list. All right, so that's kind of just to let you appreciate the value of reading lines from a document. All right, and I really encourage you after this video to go on your PyCharm and start exploring things, discovering things you can do with reading lines. And yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and conclude the video.